4 o'clock. I'll call the Salina City Commission meeting for Monday, January 8th, 2021 to order, and begin by confirming that the Kansas Open Meeting Act required notice has been properly provided by staff.
Yes.
Thank you very much. With that, we'll go with a roll call, please.
Mayor Hodges.
Here.
Commissioner Davis.
Here.
Commissioner Franz.
Here.
Commissioner Hoppe.
Here.
Commissioner Ryan.
Here.
Thank you. Will you all please join me in observing a moment of silence? Thank you. We don't have any awards and proclamations today, but I will turn to City Manager Mike Scragg for the update on COVID as we know it in our city this week.
Sure. Mike Scragg here, and I would remind you that these numbers are based on Fridays. It's a little easier for us to gather that data and compile it with data coming out on Monday. So currently there are 197 new cases reported in the past week. The prior week there were 196 new cases reported, so one more than the previous week. There are currently 1,569 active cases, which is a decrease of 220 from the prior week. There are 4,051 total recoveries reported, which is 414 more than the prior week. There are currently 17 hospitalizations reported compared to 22 a week ago. And the death count as of last Friday was 95 compared to 92 the week before. So 3 additional deaths in that 1 week time period. I would also share with you that we have, I participate in an ongoing weekly meeting on Monday mornings with the Salina County Health Officer and representatives of the medical profession, emergency management, and some others. And so my takeaways from that conversation this week were that the mass gathering order that's currently in effect has an expiration date of February 21st. The health officer regularly seeks input not only in that meeting that I described, but in other standing meetings that he has with others throughout the week. They, and I say they, meaning the county health officer as well as the representatives of the medical community, are aware that Sedgwick County recently modified their mass gathering limits and increased the number to 100, I believe. It appears from their conversation that their recommended course of action at the moment is to not only continue to monitor our local numbers, but monitor what occurs in Sedgwick County to see if that change in their mass gathering has any effect, either positive or negative. The county health officer may be providing more details next week regarding any revisions that they might likely take effect the following week, which would be that February 21st date. Then additionally, with respect to vaccinations, the county has 800 additional vaccines for this week. If they complete those during the week, that would get them very close to their stated goal of 30% of our population at 65 years of age or older being vaccinated, which could then allow them to transition to other members or other demographics within that phase 2 high contact critical category. They're reviewing the information they've received. As of last week, they had 7,500 people registered on their registration portal, indicating both their interest in being vaccinated as well as they're providing information about what might qualify them, which would take some review on the county's part. And then additional details about their next steps of the phase 2 vaccinations after meeting that 65 and older goal are likely to be provided as part of what they call their VaxFax communication that they send out on a regular basis. So I think the next one of those is scheduled to go out tomorrow. So kind of recapping that a little bit, I think they're going to monitor the mass gathering numbers and may have their thoughts collected and more information to provide next week. And they are optimistic about being able to approach their goal of 30% of the 65 and older population being vaccinated, which will allow them to transition to other members of the phase 2 demographic, and they may be providing additional details as early as tomorrow as part of their VaxFax communication that they put out.
Gotcha. But the folks that have registered, who have submitted their registration through the portal, have done what they need to do at this point in order to be notified when there is a vaccine dose available for them?
Yes, I think they've got all the information. They've done what they've been asked to do. There's varying statuses in terms of people that obviously are in phase 2, people that are obviously not part of phase 2 that have gone ahead and registered, people in the county and out of the county. So part of what they're having to do is sort through all that information they've received to move on to the next prioritization level.
Absolutely. Because speaking as someone who's not eligible during phase 2, I went ahead and registered just so that I know that when it is my time in the queue, my registration would be there, to be pulled up. So
Yeah.
I guess I would encourage people to go to that registration portal and get registered. So even if you're not eligible in phase 2, once you get to the phasing where you are eligible, they'll have that information.
Could you give the public, people come up to me and ask me, where do I call or where do I go? And I told them the health department, but is there a specific address, web address, or how does a person register if they don't have internet access?
The VaxFax includes both of those. There is a link on the county's COVID page. I don't know it off the top of my head. And then I believe the senior center was providing assistance to those that didn't have the technology or maybe the wherewithal to do it online. And I think there is also a phone number. So the health department is kind of the point of contact for all of that. If time allows, I'll see if I can't find that information as the meeting goes on and announce that. Underscoring the encouragement to register with that portal, the health department has put out that same message, and that is the resource that they will turn to as they progress into scheduling and contacting vaccinations. So the registration portal is that centralized point to get yourself into consideration for vaccination.
Thank you.
Thank you. And our thoughts are definitely with the 3 Salinans that lost their lives due to COVID this week. So thank you for the update, Mr. Scragg. And I realize I've kind of probably gotten ahead of myself because we haven't had our review of how citizens can participate via the Zoom link. And so I will turn to Ms. Driscoll to give us an update or give us a refresher on that before we go to Citizens Forum.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Let me just turn on the screen sharing. Okay, so if you plan to participate in the meeting today, there are a couple different ways you can do that, and I'm going to go through the various ways depending on what device you're using. So the first option is to use your PC, so your home-based computer, and when the mayor offers an opportunity for the public to comment, we will ask you to raise your hand. You can do that by clicking on the participation button at the bottom screen. That's that menu bar that has your other option choices when you're looking through. And if you're on a PC, you likely have logged in using the internet on zoom.com. You're also, when you look at the participant box, so if you hit that button on the menu you just saw, you'd see a list of everybody who's in the meeting. You can also click on the bottom and choose to raise your hand. There's like 3 small dots in a square, and that would also be a way to raise your hand. If you're on your iPad or your iPhone or many other mobile devices, it's going to look slightly different. The menu bar of options such as muting, stopping video, and again, that participant icon are in the upper right-hand corner. And so if you hit participant, you're going to see everybody who's in the meeting, and then you can click on your name and raise your hand from there. And that window of where your choices are, you've got chat, meeting settings, and there's that hand raising bit. Lastly, for those who have questions during the meeting, you can directly chat to me as the meeting moderator in case there's a technical difficulty or something that needs to be adjusted. And you can do that by clicking the chat button, similar location to where the hand raising is at. And lastly, if you're calling in on your phone, there's no slide for this, But if you called in on your phone, you've been let into the meeting, you can hit *9 to indicate that you need to raise your hand during those public comment periods, and I'll be able to see that. And what happens when you raise your hand is you're unclicked, and then the mayor recognizes you, and we just go through the list of comments or the list of hands throughout the meeting as the opportunities arise. With that, I think we are good. Madam Mayor, did I miss anything?
Well, Mike Sprague here, got one thing to throw in. We do not have an executive session on our agenda today, but the Attorney General's office has previously advised we should provide an explanation of that process regardless. And so, as we explained before, the Zoom technology allows the meeting host to set up essentially a side room for the participants in an executive session to go to that side room. All other participants, public, staff, and otherwise, don't have to do anything. They can stay on this Zoom call or on the original Zoom call. And then as the executive session adjourns and we return at the specified time, those that were in the executive session would rejoin that main Zoom call. So much like a physical executive session where the public would stay put and those participating in the executive session would leave, in a Zoom format, those and members of the public not participating in the exec session do nothing. They just stay on the call. The rest of the participants leave and then return to the call. And I do have that website address if you want me to.
Great. Thank you very much. Yes, please.
It is vaccinatesalinecountyks.com. All one word, no spaces. Vaccinatesalinecountyks.com. As far as those, I was not able to quickly find a resource for those that don't have an internet connection or need assistance, but I know the Senior Center has previously provided that assistance, and I'm a little hesitant to say to call the health department knowing what their workload is like, but if all else fails, I think that would be the resource.
Thank you. VaccinatesalineCountyKS.com. Great. Thank you very much.
And Vaccinate has 2 C's in it.
Yes.
And Kansas is shortened, is abbreviated KS.
Correct.
VaccinatesalineCountyKS.com. All right. Thank you very much. With that, we'll move on to Citizens Forum. This is an opportunity for any member of the public to speak to the commission on an item that doesn't appear on today's agenda. And we would request that you keep your remarks or your questions to 5 minutes. And if there's any member of the public who would like to speak at this time, I'd ask you to raise your virtual hand. And if you have trouble locating where that is on the Zoom feature, then feel free to turn on your camera and raise your physical hand.
Madam Mayor, you have one hand raised.
All right.
Lene Meyer.
Oh, yeah. Ms. Meyer?
Looks like she's still muted, though.
Hold on, sorry. There.
Thank you. Ms. Meyer, are you there?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you. I was told that there was the site on Facebook, so I checked it out, that indicated there were a number of violations that were given out because various businesses, etc., were not wearing masks. And I just wanted to get some details about that and then find out if there is follow-up on those violations to see if those people are now in compliance of wearing masks like we're supposed to be, like the businesses and people are supposed to be. So that's my question.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Meyer. I will look at Mr. Scragg to see what additional information he can give.
Mike Scragg here. The police department is actively contacting businesses and individuals regarding the face mask ordinance. I know there have been some violations and a lot more warnings and contacts and violations. They also are mindful of follow-up to confirm compliance. I don't have numbers in front of me to cite for you, but that has been an active effort on the part of the police department for over a month now, I would estimate.
Do you have
I'm sorry,
is
go
there
ahead.
any do you have any number? You said you don't have any numbers at all in terms of how many or how many checks there have been given, how many people have been checked, and then how many violations? Did I understand that right? That you don't have that information?
Yeah, you mentioned a Facebook site, and we're not maintaining a Facebook site that reports that information. I do have some information that's a little outdated, if I can find it back here. Let's see here. By mid-January, we had made over 400 contacts, 4 citations issued, about 31 warnings issued, and the remainder were initial checks and contacts. So, as I said, that information's a little dated, but 400 business checks, 4 citations, 31 warnings.
That's good to hear, and I appreciate the effort that they're putting out, because it's the best thing to do. Unfortunately, we have to.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Meyer.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak?
Madam Mayor, I have no more hands raised.
Thank you, Ms. Driscoll. With that, we don't have any public hearings or items scheduled for a certain time. So that takes us to our consent agenda.
Item 6.1, approve the minutes of February 1st, 2021. Item 6.2, acceptance and placement of the 2020 People's Choice Sculpture.
Are there any items that a commissioner would like to remove from the consent agenda? Well, I would like to remove item 6.2 if we could. Or actually, I'm not sure it even needs to be removed. I just would like to thank Sculpture Tour and Arts and Humanities for continuing to coordinate this and ensure that we have public art in our community. And I know that Commissioner Hoppett's been very involved with that. So just wanted to give some recognition and thank you for that. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
Commissioner Ryan, so moved.
Is there a second? I'm sorry, was there a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda as presented. Could we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Davis.
Aye.
Commissioner Franz.
Aye.
Commissioner Hoppett.
Aye.
Commissioner Ryan.
Aye.
Mayor Hodges.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. We'll move on to administration, item 7.1.
Item 7.1, report on bids received for utilities Sub-CIP vehicle and equipment purchases for 2021.
All right. Ms. Pack.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. Debbie Pack, Director of Finance and Administration. As part of the 2021 Sub-CIP that was approved by City Commission back in December of 2020, there were 2 passenger vehicles for the Utilities Department on that approved list, a half-ton vehicle pickup and a 3/4-ton pickup. The reason we're bringing this to you outside of the rest of the bids is because the 3/4-ton pickup needs to be ordered by February 15th in order to avoid a delay and a cause for have to order next year's model. So we wanted to bring that forward, and since we were bringing that one, we felt it was important to bring them both together since they're both for the same division. A report of the bids, the half-ton bid pickup, we had 1 bid. It did not meet our published specifications, so our recommendation on this item is to review those specifications for accuracy and make sure they're what we really need, and rebid that with new specifications. The 3/4-ton pickup, we also only had 1 bid. The bid came in at $43,030, which with a $30,000 trade-in. And that brought the net bid at $40,030. That did come in over budget by $1,030. Our recommendation for this particular item, however, is to accept the base bid of $43,030 and not take the trade-in. We would recommend that that vehicle be traded over to building maintenance, who currently has an older vehicle of the same type. And then we would transfer that trade-in value back to the utility fund because it is its own entity fund. We transfer that funding back to the utility fund. And then we would sell the older vehicle that building maintenance currently has. That would bring the utility fund in over a net budget of $1,030. The water and wastewater fund has $408,000 budgeted. With these particular items out of that fund, it leaves them $367,970. The transfer for the $3,000 would come from the sales tax capital fund, which is where, if we replaced a vehicle for buildings and maintenance, that would be funded out of. And that transfer will come from savings that we're already recognizing on other vehicle purchases for this year. Staff has identified the 4 standard action items. You can approve this item, you can amend it as you see fit, you can postpone it, or you can deny to approve it. I would stand for any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Pack. Are there any questions or comments from the commission?
Commissioner Hoppick here. Is it unusual for us to just receive one bid on vehicles like this, or is this fairly common?
I talked to the central garage because that's that concern, and they actually reached out to several vendors that normally provide us bids, and I'm not sure if John Doerr is on the line or not. And pretty much they just weren't bidding. A lot of times it'll be because they don't feel like they can get the bid. In the past, since I've been here, we typically have 2 or 3 bids on vehicles of this type, but the other 2 bidders that I've seen did not choose to bid on any of these vehicles this year. But we did reach out to them personally and say, we have these bids out there, do you want to bid?
Thank you.
Anyone else? Are there any members of the public that have questions or comments on this item?
I have no hands raised.
Thank you, Ms. Driscoll. With that, I'll bring it back to the commission for further discussion or action.
Commissioner Hoppick here. I move we approve the rejection of bid on 1 half-ton pickup and approve the purchase of 1 3/4-ton pickup from Long MacArthur in the amount of $43,030 as recommended, and authorize city manager to sign the contract with selected vendor.
Commissioner Davis, second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the rejection on 1 half-ton pickup and approve the purchase of 1 3/4-ton pickup from Long MacArthur, or approve the rejection of the, I'm going to confuse myself here, approve the rejection of the bid on 1 half-ton pickup and approve the purchase of 1 3/4-ton pickup from Long MacArthur in the amount of $43,030 as recommended, and authorize the city manager to sign the contract with the selected vendor. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Oh, I'm sorry, roll call. Sorry.
Commissioner Davis,
Aye.
Commissioner France,
Aye.
Commissioner Hoppick,
Aye.
Commissioner Ryan,
Aye.
Mayor Hodges.
Aye. Thank you. That passes 5-0. We'll move on to item 7.2.
Item 7.2, first reading ordinance number 21-11053, certification of final cost for 2020 special assessment projects and setting March 1st, 2021 as the date of public hearing.
Thank you. I see Mr. Stack's face. Oh, there he is himself. I'll turn it over to you, Mr. Stack.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Commissioners. This action is for 3 projects, one of which Pheasant Ridge number 3 was adopted and passed in the end of 2018, advisability and authorization for that project. And then Stone Lake and 9 South were passed near the end of 2019, in October of that year, for the advisability and authorization of those projects for infrastructure construction, and then advising to set the assessments, preliminary assessments at that time for those projects. Now that the projects are complete, we have the final costs and portions of city share, if applicable. Only one of those is applicable in this case, 9 South being the one that did have a portion of the city share for some work on 9th Street to close some access drives and construct basically new ones, as well as some extensions on Marketplace to the north to connect with the existing Marketplace. The projects have been completed and costs are finalized, so it's now the process of going through to start to sell the bonds, I guess. So let's see, I guess the actions are to for the city commission to accept the statement of final costs and then set March 1st, 2021 as the special assessment hearing date, as well as passing the ordinance on first reading. I will be here for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Stack. Are there any questions or comments from the commission?
Mr. Franz, there, 9 South, I presume, is the area on South 9th Street that is just, I guess, between the old roller skating rink and Sam's Club area. I think we used to call it the Pumpkin Patch or something like that. Is that correct?
Correct.
Is that really finished at this point? Because I remember thinking driving past it, it doesn't look finished, but maybe it is. I presume all the public improvements are in place.
That's correct. They are.
And that's slated to be a commercial development, I presume?
Correct.
Okay. Now, on the other 2 developments, Pheasant Ridge and Stone Lake, do you happen to know what the average lot sizes on those developments are? And the reason I ask is I'm going to be less favorable in the future towards assessment on large lot developments. I think that's the wrong place to be putting our assessment resources. And I'm just wondering about what level these are going to be built.
Yeah, I'm looking here. Pheasant Ridge are the smaller lots,
Okay.
but Stone Lake 2 are, those are larger lots. So I can look up the acreages. It's interesting. Yeah, they give you the lot and the block, but they don't give you the acreage until you actually have to go back to the preliminary plat.
I would appreciate that information for second reading.
Okay.
You know, and I know that Stone Lake has the lot sizes in that subdivision are relatively variable. I mean, they're spread out from being relatively large to what I would consider more normal sizes.
Right. Yeah, there's Stone Lake 2. I guess I did have a map ready in case you want to look at it, so might as well. If you wouldn't mind pulling that up and sharing your screen, Lauren, that would be helpful.
Okay. Still on Raptor?
Yep, thank you. So that's Pheasant Ridge, and those are the smaller lots. Pheasant Ridge subdivision there, all about the same size. Those have developed really well. They are just the medium-sized, smaller to medium-sized lots, I guess you'd say. Next slide.
Mike Scragg here. I just randomly called up, I guess it'd be lot 17 of the Pheasant Ridge edition. It is 10,671 square feet, which is not quite a quarter acre.
Okay, so those lots will all be probably between 10 and larger lots, maybe 15,000 square feet.
Yeah, I think they're all pretty uniform. Maybe those ones on the south of the cul-de-sac, but other than that, they're probably all right about 10,000. feet.
The ones across block 2 look to be a little larger too, but they're a little shorter and wider, so I don't know how that plays out. All right. Thank you.
And then here are the Stone Lake lots, as Commissioner Friends correctly pointed out. Yeah, those are kind of variable in the Stone Lake subdivision, especially with the lake lots being probably quite a bit larger than some of the other lots across the street. Yeah, right there, you'll see the 17 lots with the red line around them. Those are the lots for Stone Lake 2 that are in question. And Mike was able to get to that pretty quickly. I'm getting there myself now.
Yeah.
Are you?
Lot 7 on the north side is 16,287 square feet. And lot 3, I think. Lot 3 is 31, almost 32,000 square feet.
Lot 3 in block 4, not block 5.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. I was looking at lot 3 in block 5 and I said, that doesn't look right.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much.
North side of the road, still kind of in that smaller range, but south side definitely larger.
Larger. Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Wayne Nelson has come into my office and given me the estate lots kind of around 30 to 34,000-ish in that subdivision, with the more normal size lots at around 17,000 square feet.
Thank you.
And the last slide here, Lauren, if you scroll up one more.
Commissioner topic here, but those, Commissioner Franz, those lots that are in block 4, those aren't part of phase 2. Those were part of phase 1, correct, Mr. Stack?
I'm looking here. There definitely are some lots in block.
Well, those
4.
last 4 might have been over there to the, on the north
Yeah,
side.
I'm looking at the red line. I presume that's
block 4.
Right.
There's four lots along the lake there that are block 4, lots 1, 2, 3, and 4, and block 4 along the lake there that are in this phase, Stone Lake phase 2.
I guess what I want to know is all those to the west there were part of that phase 1.
They're
Correct.
phase 1. Yes.
Yep. Correct. Lastly, this slide shows the 9 South subdivision there. So I guess it may look unfinished. I guess maybe a little bit just because there hasn't been any commercial development per se started there yet. They did have a tenant, we believe, that was going to start, but just with the pandemic has not yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dan, could you go back to the picture of Stone Lake? That I don't know what the block would be called, but that unfinished area, what looks like the southeast corner of the picture. There'll be future requests for special assessments to complete that road, and I'm assuming this is the part that has to have another fire access road once you get down to that bottom corner.
Yeah, that's interesting. So I'm not sure they've platted that yet. I don't think they have actually. It was a preliminary plat at one time. Yeah, just have it kind of circle around the lake there. So it's taken a while to build this out, but I guess we would foresee that would probably eventually get developed. Yes, you're correct.
Right. Is north at the upper end of this? I'm just temporarily disoriented. North is at the top of the picture?
Correct.
Okay. We had discussion about the length of that road without fire access, and we agreed that up to this point it was acceptable or within the limits of what our code currently allows. Any further, there has to be provisions for another.
Yeah, that's a good question. That's a planning item. I know there was a lot of discussion about that, but I guess I believe it was. Go ahead, Mike.
Well, that concern came up as a condition of platting, so I think it was satisfied before proceeding with the plat, let alone the installation of the infrastructure. And I know there was conversation about a temporary access point to the north and shared easement on the private drive there that you can see running east and west. So I don't know that it shows on the aerial photograph, but I believe alternate access was gained that way.
That's correct. Yeah, it's a good thing to note is they had to complete a fire access road along the neighbor to the basically adjacent property owner to the north side there where those trees kind of straight line running west to east. There's a completed fire emergency access road through there. That had to be completed prior to them starting and kind of finishing this subdivision, and that has been completed.
So is that what's to the west of lot 1?
Yes. Commissioner Hoppick here. I was out there the other day and that which looks like a small lot there that just comes straight north off that road. That's
right.
Yes.
And there is access there now?
Correct.
Okay. I knew that there was a plan to do that. I just didn't know if it was in place.
Yeah, the developers for actually Stone Lake Phase 3A, they were responsible for putting that in kind of right off the bat, and they have done that because they knew that was kind of a negotiated agreement between the two of them to pay for it, and such that Bradley could get this subdivision finished. They had to do that first, and yes, that has been completed.
All right, thank you.
Which does raise the question, maybe at a future meeting. I know we've had these conversations about cul-de-sac lengths and emergency access road, and it might be nice to have an update on the inventory that I know we talked about quite a while back in terms of getting an inventory of the subdivisions and a status update of the various emergency access roads that service those subdivisions. Does anyone else have another question, comments? Oops, did something on my screen. Are there any questions or comments from the public?
I have no hands raised, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Ms. Driscoll. I do see that we have bond counsel Gina Rekoff here. If we have any questions specific for her expertise, I guess now's the time. And Ms. Rekoff, is there anything that you need to add for us?
I don't have anything to add. I think Dan did a great job summarizing everything.
Great, thank you. All right, we'll bring it back to the commission for further discussion or action.
Commissioner Ryan here, Mayor. I move we approve the city commission, that the city commission accepts statement of final costs set March 1st, 2020 as the special assessment hearing date and pass ordinance number 21-11-053 on first reading.
Commissioner Franz, I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve on first reading ordinance number 21-11053. We'll have a roll call.
Commissioner Davis,
Aye.
Commissioner Franz,
Aye.
Commissioner Hoppick,
Aye.
Commissioner Ryan,
Aye.
Mayor Hodges.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. We don't have any development business, which brings us to other business. Is there any item that the commissioner would like to bring up during other business?
Mayor Hodges, I would ask, I guess this is a request, but I presume at this point you've received nominations from everybody for the review board. And I would request that you share that list with the rest of us, along with maybe a tally of how many commissioners supported which suggestion, so we can have some kind of idea of what the remaining field of candidates looks like.
Absolutely, and I'm glad you mentioned that, Commissioner France. I was going to speak to this. Something that struck me is there were a number of commonalities, but each of us also had a couple of candidates that were unique to them. And so I think in going forward, I appreciated being able to look and see what all of you were thinking. And it made me go back and look at who I had picked kind of with a fresh perspective. So at any rate, I will get that. I will get that done, and I will get that out to everyone at some point this week, because I want to thank you all for submitting your selections, and I have sent them, your completed ones, on to Mr. Scragg in case there is a Freedom of Information Act request. The city will be able to fulfill that, but I will get the tallies out as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I think that'd be very helpful for all of us to
Sure.
look at. It gives a different perspective.
Absolutely. And yeah, like I said, I think what I found, what was really interesting to me is the ones that we didn't have in common, because like I said, it made me take a second look and think, okay, what did I miss? What did he see that the rest of us didn't see? So it was interesting. A lot more commonality than you would than not. So is there anything else? Well, could we, oh wow, it's 4:41. If there's nothing else, I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
Commissioner Hoppick here, so moved.
Commissioner Ryan, second.
We have a motion to adjourn. Roll call.
Commissioner Davis,
Aye.
Commissioner Franz,
Aye.
Commissioner Hoppick,
Aye.
Commissioner Ryan,
Aye.
Mayor Hodges.
Aye. So we will, next week is President's Day, so we will be back here on the 22nd. And thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Have a good evening.